Hello and welcome to the fourth Impact Youth video devotional. Today we're going to be reading from Genesis chapter 9, beginning in verse 18, and reading all the way through the end of Genesis chapter 11. If you finish up this fourth video devotional in the first week, you're right on pace to complete the entire book of Genesis in 4 weeks and earn that ice cream with me on a Wednesday night after youth sometime. I want you to understand this first story that you read, the very end of chapter 9, is a very unique story. It's about Noah getting drunk after the flood and one of his sons going into his tent and seeing him naked and then being cursed for that. It's a really unusual story. Perhaps more actually occurred. The Bible doesn't tell us about it, but obviously it's something that Noah was really upset about because he cursed not Ham, his son who did this, but Canaan, the oldest son of Ham, and then he blessed the other two boys that Noah had. It's an interesting story, but it's important to see who he blesses and who he curses. As we get to chapter 10, which is in my Bible titled The Table of Nations, again, it's another long, probably boring genealogy when you look at it. But what's important to see is that in verse 6 it says, the sons of Ham. Ham's the one who did this bad thing to Noah. And essentially when you read of all the sons of Ham, you read of every enemy that Israel's going to have through the rest of the Old Testament. You read his sons are Cush and Egypt, who the Israelites are in bondage to, and Canaan, the land where they have to go in and fight all these people out. And then you read more details of who are the grandchildren of Ham. And these are all the enemies that Israel has to fight. So you see, obviously, the situation that occurs in the very end of chapter 9 is a major role in playing who will be the friends of the Israelites and who will be the enemies of the Israelites throughout the remainder of the Old Testament. We then get to this story in chapter 11, the Tower of Babel, and that story is used to explain how people spread out across the earth and also how we get so many different languages, because up to this point, all the people were the descendants of Noah and would have been speaking the same language. At the very end of chapter 11, again gives us another genealogy. The author writing Genesis very clearly is trying to explain where the Israelites come from. Genesis didn't get written until close to 1,000 years after the time of Adam and of Noah. And so as a result, when this is finally getting written down, the author's trying to convey, here's our lineage, here's our people, here's where we come from. So I hope that you learn a lot about what God's doing, and it's going to better help you understand as you continue to read through the book of Genesis. I'm so glad that you're taking this journey with me, and I hope that you're learning more about who God is and how God worked through his people.